Alrighty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and I are starting early today because Jake and I will be sharing the basketball court together this evening for the first time in a long time. So reuniting on the basketball court tonight for Jake and I. So we're going to start our show a little bit early today. Probably going to do the same next week because we play at 6 o'clock next week also. So probably going to be the same programming notes for next week for those of you tuning into the live show. Today we have a handful of Milwaukee Bucks games. We have 2 Wisconsin Badger basketball games and then the Badger basketball finale that we'll do our abbreviated recap on. We're going to probably try to fly through the Bucks games a little bit today just to discuss some of the Giannis stuff that's flying around on Twitter, which is what it is, but we'll talk about that when we get into the what's next. So we're going to hit the intro and start running through the games.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so in case you missed it, last Wednesday we made a special announcement that tonight will be our radio debut, also actually discussing the same Milwaukee Bucks. So this was pre-recorded on Monday before the Bucks lost to the Wizards. So the conversations were feeling a little bit better than they are today after the Bucks lost to the Wizards on Monday. But so we have 4 Milwaukee Bucks games to talk about, 3 losses and 1 win. Unfortunately, it's not 2-2, which is kind of what we had hoped and what it looked like it was going to be. But we're going to, like I said, we're going to kind of run through these a little bit quicker just because we want to spend a little more time on some of the contextual stuff as it relates to the future of the Bucks. So, Jake, let's start with the Bucks and the Heat from Friday night. How did you feel about Bucks and Heat?
Yeah, so Bucks coming to this one undefeated in NBA Cup play. This is the 3rd year of the NBA Cup. Doc Rivers is undefeated in NBA Cup play, the group play, I should say. And that's just not what happened. This was Giannis missed this one as well. This was the last game that he ended up missing, as everybody knows. Kuzma, a little bit inefficient. Miles Turner had a really, really nice game, I thought. I mean, 1 for 5 from 3 is what it is, but 9 for 15 overall. And something that we talked about last week was how the Bucks could find Miles down low. The Bucks are playing a little bit faster pace. They're letting it fly from outside. So with that being said, you and I were both on the same page saying, like, he has some mismatches down low with some wing players or some guards down there. So let's throw it down there. And immediately he makes us look smart by going down low and the Bucks finding him down low. So I love that for us, flexing the basketball knowledge there. Ryan Rollins, 26, 7, and 5, forced some shots, I thought, in my opinion, that didn't need to be taken. If he makes them, it's a good shot, but I think he forced some. Bobby Portis, really super inefficient night, 4 of 14, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. It's not going to get it done, especially for a guy who is as flat-footed as he is on the defensive end especially. I have not been a guy that has been tough on Bobby Portis. I've been one of the few people that, has stayed strong with him. Going into this year, last year, the year before, when trade rumors were flying around, Bucks Nation was pretty upset with him. He's kind of fallen off. He's not even rebounding. He's not playing with the same physicality. The defense has not gotten better at all. So Bobby Portis absolutely is a liability, in my opinion, on defense and most of the time on offense now, especially when he holds the ball and then just jacks up a mid-range shot. It's like, Bobby, just move the ball, set a screen. Let's get the ball moving, get the energy up, right? So there's a few more things I wanted to talk about. First of all, the bench got outscored in this one, got doubled up. The Heat bench scored 36, the Bucks bench scored 18. I thought this is one of the few games that the Bucks actually rebounded the ball. So they were actually tied with the Heat, 47 rebounds. They both turned the ball over 14 times as well. They had plenty of times to take the lead in the fourth quarter, but way too many empty trips. It was either a one-and-done shot, they took a bad shot, or they turned the ball over. Sometimes a bad shot is worse than a turnover because they can just rebound the ball inbounds and they can just get running and get into their offense right away. So that was my opinion on how this game ended. The Bucks had an opportunity without Giannis to steal one from Miami, and they just couldn't do it. And the last thing I'll talk about is a quote that came from Doc Rivers. He said, and this is a quote about Giannis, right, about him coming back. He said, even when he's playing, there's a stretch where he's not on the floor. We still have to master that, and we have not this year. So I think this stretch will be good for us. I absolutely agree. Getting guys, putting them in situations where they're uncomfortable so they can be comfortable later is a good thing later on in the season. We will get our thoughts out with Giannis, so nobody ask. We have been talking about it nonstop for the last couple hours now. So we're going to run through these games. And what's your opinion on the Heat, buddy?
I agree with you on Rollins. You got to take better shooting decisions, especially in the first half. There was way too many step backs, especially over taller defenders. He was 2 for 10 on threes in the first half.
Yeah.
He was much better shooting in catch-and-shoot situations. He made really good decisions coming off of passes, especially against Miami's zone on when to shoot, when to pass, and when to drive and kick. So opportunity there. You talked about Miles Turner a lot. I will say Miami was averaging number 2 in the NBA, over 123 points per game. Bucks held them to 106. I will say this game it felt different compared to the other losses that the Bucks had. Didn't feel like a super frustrating loss. Just kind of felt like the Bucks did some good things on both ends. Even though like a guy like Kyle Kuzma didn't shoot well, he was 4 for 11 from the field. Should have gotten a couple foul calls in my opinion, but he did a lot of good things. He passed very well. He had 6 assists. He helped on the rebounds. He had 12 rebounds. That was the team high. As a team, the Bucks limited second chances better. Only 9 offensive rebounds and only 9 second chance points allowed to Miami. So this kind of felt like it was the start of a trend in a better direction. But it is what it is. Looking at 3-point attempts, Rollins had 14, Gary Trent Jr. had 12, and AJ Green had 6. I need AJ Green shooting 8+ threes a game. That said, AJ Green did and continues to use his gravity to help. He finished with a team high 8 assists.
He was passing the ball well.
In general, the ball movement was really good. 31 assists, 40 made field goals. That is great, especially when you compare it to like 13 turnovers. The target number, I'll say, I don't want to say magic number because the magic number of turnovers would be 0.
Yep.
So I would say the target number I want is the Bucks at or below 13 turnovers. I can handle that. They allowed 15 points off turnovers, which isn't crazy. That's a pretty normal number. So I'm not super mad at that. With a slight uptick in efficiency and some better decisions on when to shoot, and I think the Bucks win this game maybe by double digits. Okay, going into Bucks-Knicks, Giannis came back, and the offense collectively instantly improved. He played 28 minutes, put up 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. He was 10 of 14 from the field, 10 of 14 on twos, 10 of 14 on free throws. He is the engine that drives his team. He's the MVP, and now I have 2 bones to pick with Giannis in this game, and this is going to come back when we get to Monday's game. 1, shooting an early shot clock 3 when the Knicks went up by 6. That's bad decision-making. And 2, when the Bucks were down 7 points with 1 minute and 27 seconds left to go, you cannot be dribbling the ball for 20 seconds, dude. You got to have some sense of urgency when you're down by essentially 3 possessions and 1.5 minutes to go. First half free throws in this game were 22-6. 22-6.
Yeah.
The free throws are the only thing that kept the Knicks in the game in the first half.
Yep.
Bucks' whole team in the first quarter was just lighting it up from the 3-point line. And they have a 3-point lead going into the second quarter. The Knicks were 14 of 14 on free throws in the first quarter. 14 free throws in a quarter. You're telling me you're on pace to send a team to the line 56 times. The other gripe that I have with the officiating of this game is Mikal Bridges grabbing Giannis by the arm, then grabbing the same arm with 2 arms. There's no basketball play there. I don't care that after he had his arm around him with 2 arms, that then he reached in and hit the ball. That's after. That's after grabbing 1 arm with 2 arms. Is it going to take Giannis getting a fucking dislocated elbow or a separated shoulder before they actually start calling this shit fairly?
Seems that way.
And it seems like I can't go a day without scrolling on Twitter and seeing somebody putting up another ridiculous compilation of Shea and Jokic barely getting touched and acting like they just got hit by a fucking freight train. I've been through this the last few weeks where it's like, okay, I can understand why people are saying like this is why people don't watch the NBA. So the fact that wasn't a flagrant foul is annoying. It is what it is. I will say Kyle Kuzma, in my opinion, was the Bucks' second best player in this game. He made very good plays driving to the basket, finishing on the run, finishing with good footwork. I'm approaching a conclusion, and I'm at like 75% on this, that I don't want to trade him at all. I'm very close to making that conclusion. He shot 8 of 9 from the field. He was 4 of 5 on threes. Did miss 2 free throws, but added 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And defending the Knicks was 2 for 9 on field goals against Kyle Kuzma. Yep. And Jalen Brunson was 1 for 6. So he's playing very good defense.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to give a couple more credit things. I love Ryan Rollins in catch and shoot. As a point guard, he can handle the ball okay. As a shooting guard, he can handle the ball above average. He's an above average ball handler if he's at the shooting guard position.
Yes.
AJ Green did exactly what I want to see him do every single game going forward. He was 6 for 12 on threes. He was 18 points, and he added 5 rebounds and 2 steals. I would be ecstatic if that's what AJ Green's box score looked like every single game. That's perfect. Yeah. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, throwing a couple assists, and he's shooting 6 for 12 on threes. Here you go. Here's $11 million.
Yep.
And then the Bucks as a team, they did a really good job against Karl Anthony Towns. He was only 2 for 8 from the field. He did try to flop his way to the free throw line a lot. Did get there a handful of times, but overall wasn't rewarded for trying to foul bait. So I appreciate that. And Bobby Portis is my last takeaway from the Knicks game, unfortunately. And he had 3 good games last week, and I'd hoped he was kind of back to the walking double-double that he was for the last few years. And he was 1 for 7 from the field. And it's not even that I'm mad at that, because I can handle guys having bad shooting games. What bothers me more is poor shot selection. It's if you have a bad shooting game because you're making bad shooting decisions. It's a different thing if a guy has, 6 open looks and he misses 5 of them, and it's like, okay, you're an NBA player. Statistically, you're going to make 40% of those looks or whatever.
Yep.
But settling for jumpers too often, especially when they're not going in, is just going to kill the offensive flow of the team.
Yeah. So
I feel you where you're at on that. I know we kind of talked about this before the show, and it's kind of how I felt at times last season, but it's becoming more apparent this season.
Yeah, I will read word for word when I have about Kuzma and Portis, since that's where you ended. For all the efficiency that Kuzma was showing, Bobby Portis was literally the exact opposite of the efficiency. And I was like, that really sucks, man. It is what it is. Bucks are going to have to figure that out. And pretty sad to say, but there's a legit X account that counts down the days until Bobby Portis is tradable. And we'll get into the Giannis stuff, like I said, but Portis is probably gone, I would bet. Getting into more of this game, Bucks shot 52% from the field and 44% from the three-point line. And you brought up the free throw disparity, and I wrote down, I don't even want to talk about the different whistle that just Giannis and Brunson get, but how in the actual hell does Karl Anthony Towns two-hand shove Giannis and then get a foul call 2 seconds after? Like the ref didn't just watch Giannis, one of the strongest players in NBA history, get replaced. What are we doing, bro? So you're telling me you saw Miles Turner defend the shot, but literally a second before that, you didn't see how he two-hand shoved Giannis away from the ball? Get out of here with that, dude. That's the shit that pisses us off.
Yep.
I have all caps because it's so stupid.
I have a fairly bold take, and today's news aside, when we get to the Wizards game, I have a fairly bold take to make.
So, outside of that, I mean, the Bucks, they moved the ball well. They turned the ball over 15 times to the Knicks 13. The Knicks scored 18 points off those 15 turnovers. The Bucks scored 15 off the Knicks 13 turnovers. So, I mean, it wasn't like they were beating us in any other area but one spot. They weren't killing us in any other area. The points in the paint, the Bucks had 36, the Knicks had 40. So that's +4 right there. They're +3 on the points off turnovers. Like I said, they had 1 more assist. They had 9 more rebounds. They made 4 less threes. Right there, everything is even. The free throws is what won this game for the Knicks. And that is so sad to say, but it's so true for so many of these games with the Bucks. And people want to be like, "Oh, the Bucks suck. The Bucks are this. They have nothing of value." No. How about if I would love to see if somebody broke down if the Bucks had a fair whistle, what their record would be. I would love to see if somebody would do that. I bet it would be more. Our record would be more than opposite.
I wonder. Okay, so I'll write this down. If the Bucks had a league average amount of free throws.
Yep. For their opponent and for us, I would love to see what our record would be.
And then I'll put it at also like what the Bucks shoot for free throw percentage and what their opponents average.
Yep. I would. Yeah. I'm game for that. Now, obviously, this is all, if somebody's going to say a made-up stat, every stat is made up, you dinguses. So it is what it is. This is literally how stats start. Somebody thinks about something, and they're just like, "Oh, we should make that a stat."
Yeah, this wouldn't be something that we should say making as a stat. This would just be a comparison of what if every Bucks game to this point was shot with league average free throws. Taking the free throw disparity out of the conversation, what the Bucks record would look like.
Yeah, I like it that way better. So, I mean, Kuzma was fantastic. He couldn't miss for a little bit. He was on fire for a little bit. Giannis was Giannis. Miles Turner a little bit inefficient. Had a couple that kind of dribbled out of the rim for him. He's had a couple of games like that where he's like right on line and he's right there on the cusp, especially with the 3-point shot where it's like, oh man. If just 2 more of these go down, he's going to explode, right? So, it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Bucks Nets, the feel-good game of the week.
Yeah, so welcome back, Kevin Porter Jr. First game since October 22nd, so love that. This would be the ideal starting lineup of Giannis, Miles Turner, Kevin Porter, AJ Green, and Ryan Rollins, right? And to your point, like you said, I wrote down that Rollins slots in much better as a 2-guard than he does a 1-guard. First of all, he's much better in catch-and-shoot situations.
Yep.
That doesn't need to be said. That's pretty obvious. AJ Green's another floor spacer. And Kevin Porter Jr., the thing that you get with him, I've talked about it for about a week straight now with you, is that not only you get a scoring, which is a nice scoring punch next to Giannis. He had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. He was 4 of 10. He did make his first shot. It was a 3-pointer, and I was like, oh, yes, this is nice. You get his aggressiveness, right? A guy that's able to go downhill, break down the defense, with his dribble. Now, his shot is like a cherry on top for him because he really is a good athlete. He's a guy that can fly and get above the rim. So that's a nice additive to add as well. And not only is aggressiveness getting downhill on offense, he's aggressive on defense too. And with that aggressiveness, he expects others to meet him at that level. So I love that. That is a really good thing to have for this Bucks team, which every once in a while kind of seems like they're sleepwalking when they go on their droughts on offense. And, then they're all flat-footed on defense and people are hanging their heads. No, you need a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. who's going to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
That's what all good teams have. It's not just Giannis leading. Everybody's like, oh, Giannis got to figure out. Yes, Giannis is the man, and he does have to figure it out. And every once in a while, guys like Kevin Porter Jr. and Doc Rivers are looking at Giannis like, come save me, buddy. That's the responsibility you get if you're an NBA great. I'm sorry. That's just, it is what it is. And Giannis understands that too. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but a Kevin Porter Jr. on a nightly basis, especially on a, November 29th, 2025 versus the Brooklyn Nets, you need a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. every once in a while to pick us up. Now, this was a Cream City game. So the court looked sick. The Bucks looked fly. And this was, in my opinion, the top game efficiency-wise on both ends of the court so far this year.
Yeah, this actually was the second of a back-to-back, and the Bucks traveled from New York to Milwaukee. Giannis and Kevin Porter Jr. both playing on minutes restrictions, and it did not feel like it.
No.
The defense was swarming. Guys were playing with pace and energy. They were hitting threes. They scored 71 points in the first half, 99 points through 3 quarters. They held the Nets. They allowed to the Nets in 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Like literally scored in 3 quarters what they allowed in 4. So, I get that the Nets are bad, but I mean, taking 3 quarters of the amount of time to score the same amount of points as an NBA opponent is still impressive.
Yes.
Now, I love how this game started. Like you said, Kevin Porter Jr. made his first shot. Ryan Rollins had a catch and shoot 3, which is another thing that I've talked about. AJ Green shooting more threes. AJ Green didn't play the fourth quarter, but still shot 5 of 7 on threes, had 15 points to go with 3 rebounds and 5 assists. He's really, really, really starting to understand his gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, Friday, I want to make the distinction with Bobby Portis because I complained about his settling for jumpers. Saturday, he was taking jumpers, but he was hitting them and shooting them with rhythm. There's a difference. There's a distinction. It's not about settling for jumpers and continuing to take more when they're not going in. Saturday, he was taking the jumpers. They were going in. He was shooting them with rhythm and confidence. That's much different than just shooting jumpers for the sake of taking shots.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make that distinction. Giannis played 19 minutes, scored 29 points, had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. I do think there's an opportunity for him to improve at the free throw line, and we'll talk about that more in the Wizards game.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Porter Jr., him being back does so many things for the team, even on a minutes restriction. He had 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. The rebounding help, even just 4 rebounds, just getting that from adding that to the team, that's helpful. Which also helps with the pace, grabbing a rebound and going, something that we've talked about for years, that if it doesn't matter if the bigs aren't getting rebounds, as long as they're preventing opposing bigs from getting rebounds, and our guards can grab the ball and Giannis can grab the ball and go.
Yes.
Collapsing the defense. You would talk about this as playmaking. Looking at Kevin Porter Jr. having 6 assists. He had multiple lobs to Giannis. Great. His defense, he had a steal and a block, contributed 10 of the Bucks' first 21 points came on points off turnovers. So like I said, the Bucks defense was swarming. Also, this benefits Ryan Rollins. It frees up Ryan Rollins so much with Rollins getting the start of shooting guard. He gets some catch and shoot opportunities. He got relief from having to be the primary ball handler and from also having to be the primary point of attack defender. So he was able to play a little bit more loosely, like stealing an inbounds pass like he did in the third quarter. One of 4 steals that Ryan Rollins had because there's less pressure on him. So that's a benefit there. Now, give me your thoughts from the Wizards game, because honestly, my thoughts were more tied away from the actual game itself and more towards the kind of going forward stuff.
Yeah, so playing against a team that has 2 wins, like you said, we recorded for the radio show on Monday, and we're thinking, okay, so we're about to start our run. We play the Nets, play the Wizards, win a couple games in a row, get this snowball started, and then we can release it down the hill and see how long it rolls, right? Well, Giannis, 26.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 10 of 17 from the field. That's not his normal efficiency. And I know you have thoughts on this as well, but he was part of the problem in this game. He took some, what in my opinion, bad shots for Giannis.
Yeah.
He didn't look in rhythm. They looked forced. He looked uninterested at times, in my opinion. Kevin Porter Jr., though, had his Bucks career high with 30, had 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Super efficient, 12 of 15 from the field, 5 of 6 from the three-point line. AJ Green did AJ Green things, 13, 5, 5, 4 of 6 from the field and from the three-point line. If he takes a shot that's not behind the three-point line, that's noteworthy, in my opinion. Ryan Rollins, he is, in my opinion, now this is the second game in a row, obviously, with Kevin Porter Jr. back. He's going to be going through a process now. I want to get this out there, going through a process of seeing where he fits now that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be handling the ball more. So he's going to have a couple games where he's having 14, 2 and 5, 5 of 12, not knowing when to shoot. That's another adjustment period for him.
Yep,
so we need to relax on Ryan Rollins. He's going to be just fine.
Yep.
Probably Bobby's best game of the week. 50% from the field, 50% from the three-point line. Gary Trent Jr. got going a little bit. He's had a pretty down year, but getting 14 points from him and 3 3-pointers is a good thing. Now, a game after allowing under 100 points. Yes, allowing 99 points in today's NBA is fan-freaking-tastic. I don't care who you're playing. You play what is probably the worst team in the league, and you give up 129. Where is the consistency?
And unfortunately, it involved being cooked by 34-year-old CJ McCollum.
Yep,
who,
that's literally
to his credit, 2 games before this did drop like 45 on the Pelicans.
Fair, but
he's still 34 and he's still CJ McCollum.
He's Still CJ McCollum. Again. So I wrote, you got cooked by a 34-year-old McCollum and a 1.5 like Chris Middleton. Now, Middleton didn't have crazy stats, but in the fourth quarter, he was Chris Middleton.
And in the first quarter, he was also Chris Middleton. In my notes, that everybody was too small for Giannis, except for a couple times that he got blocked, which, again, that's part of stuff that we don't expect to see from him. It's unrealistic to say nobody should ever get their shot blocked, but for it to happen like 4 times in a game, you got to lock in a little bit there. Right. Now, like you were just saying with that, with Chris Middleton, like the vets were the only thing keeping the game close. Middleton and McCollum were hitting all their mid-range in the first quarter. That was the only thing that kept this game close. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about this one yet?
Yeah, just a couple more things. So on top of Middleton and McCollum, you gave up 22 and 8 to Marvin Bagley III. Who?
Yep.
That guy was relevant 9 years ago. That's embarrassing. Turner having the same number of rebounds as the Wizards have wins. I need a little bit more aggressiveness out of Turner on the rebounding.
I agree with you on the Miles Turner thing because he should take it personally that Marvin Bagley had 22 points. He should not be scoring that in an NBA game because if you look at Marvin Bagley's game scores, his game logs, Marvin Bagley has only had 22 points, more than that 3 times since the beginning of the 2022-2023 season. That spans 138 games and 54 starts.
Yeah.
He slid behind the defense way too easily.
Yes. That's all I got. Go ahead, buddy.
Doc did address the turnovers and the opponent's second chance points aspects of the game. The Wizards got 18 more shots in this game than the Bucks.
Yep.
And I will say the lack of the Bucks whistle plays a part in this. But the Wizards made 7 more shots on those 18 attempts. And, the Bucks shot 55.3% on 33 threes and lost the game.
That's great.
And the free throw aspect of it. Unfortunately, Giannis, I think mentally checked out a little bit with the lack of whistle here. Because there's literally points where he's literally going up to a ref, with his hands together, pleading for calls and, showing them scratches on his arms and stuff.
Yep. And
I think it made him check out.
Yep.
And he finished with 5 turnovers. 2 of them were offensive fouls, had some bad shot selection, and struggled at the free throw line. He was 6 of 11 on free throws and had a 10-second violation. Now, this is where I believe that the NBA needs to tread real fucking carefully. Because as we jump into this, we're going to get into where the Bucks go from here. And we can just use it to transition here. But the NBA needs to tread real carefully with how they're handling Giannis and the officiating.
Yep.
Because if this goes on, the Bucks aren't trading Giannis today. Even if he says he wants to trade, it's not happening today. So Giannis is still very likely, even if he wants to be traded, going to play some games with the Bucks yet.
Yep.
If the NBA keeps treating him like this, he might get to a point where he's like, this isn't good. Why would I believe that it's going to be different somewhere else?
Yeah.
And the NBA is not just going to push Giannis out of Milwaukee. They're going to push him out of the NBA fucking entirely.
Yep.
And he's going to be like, you know what? I'll go play in Europe.
Yeah. I'll just move my family to Greece right now. He has plenty of money.
Back to Greece and just play in the Euro League for the rest of my life.
Yep.
He wouldn't be the first European-born player to do that.
Dude, he's literally, not to cut you off, but he's literally talked about how he wants to do what Tim Duncan does when he retires and disappear. That's why every time somebody brings up Giannis in a big market, he does not want that.
He doesn't care.
It's not first on his checklist. He's not American born. He's not born to think, oh, I got to have all the lights on me, so I got to go to New York or LA. That's not his first thought. He's just thankful to be here, honestly.
Yeah, and he could retire today and never have to play another game in his life.
Nope.
But he also loves basketball. He also loves his country, which is not the United States.
Yep.
He's 30 years old, so he's, coming to the end of his prime for a guy who plays as physically as he does.
Yeah.
But he could just say, I hate the way the NBA is becoming, especially when it comes to officiating. I'm just going to go play in Europe.
Yep.
So the NBA needs, in my mind, they need to tread real carefully because they might not just push him out of Milwaukee. They might push him out of the NBA entirely. And then their goal of getting Giannis out of Milwaukee so you can market him more in New York, you're going to lose him out of the NBA entirely.
Yeah.
And even if he does end up getting traded, which we can just jump into this now and just start having an open forum here on all the rumors and stuff that are coming out today, and the meeting, quote unquote meeting, which the Bucks do with Giannis every single offseason.
Yep.
That even if Giannis gets traded this year, finishes out his contract and is eligible for a contract extension, wherever, nothing says that he doesn't just finish out this year, play next year with the Hawks, and then say, all right, now I'm going to fuck off to Europe.
And who's to say that, all these Europeans stick together, right? So who's to say that Giannis doesn't start a trend? And these guys are just like, yeah, we're just going to build up the EuroLeague.
There's rumors of like NBA Europe becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Like Adam Silver wants to push that they're looking at like starting 8 teams ish in Europe. Not like, and like you said, like it's not a surprise that these guys like playing for their countries. Because there's never any shortage of any of these guys playing in the Eurobasket tournaments or in the FIBA tournaments. Or we're going to see the Olympics coming up here.
Dude, being from USA, this has got to be the only country where like people make you feel like you're not allowed to be proud to be from America. Because you see all these people come over from European countries. They come over from China, Australia. All these people, they love their country.
Yeah.
I love my country. I love my country. I understand it because I love America. Yeah. And I'm not trying to get political here.
No.
But, like, it's okay if you love your country.
Yeah. I mean, Jokic talks about it like he just wants to go and be with his horses. Like,
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. I mean, Spain and France, too. I mean, how could we have this conversation, the same exact conversation 5 years from now with Wemby, where he's not getting a whistle because they want to get him out of San Antonio to a bigger market? And he's like, you know what? Giannis left the NBA at 30 and went back to Greece. I'm going to leave the NBA at 30 and go back to France.
I'm telling you, he might start a run, dude.
And we're in this position right now where the top 4, I would say, NBA players are not American. Yep. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that Shea is going to go play in Canada because he's got the best whistle in the NBA right now. But, I mean, Jokic is trying to bait a lot of stuff. But, I mean, Luka's not American either. And you could say Wemby's the 5th best player in the NBA if you wanted to. I mean, like, there's obviously an argument to be made for other people. But, like you said, who's to say it doesn't start a trend? But I really feel like no matter what happens with Giannis, whether he ends up traded or stays with Milwaukee for the next 6 years and goes and plays 3 to 5 years in Europe after that, or, if he plays 2 years with Milwaukee and then goes back to Greece and plays there for 10 years, that in the year 2045, we're going to look back at this year and be like, man, the way that the NBA treated Giannis at the beginning of the 2025 season was really fucked up. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's how I feel that we're going to look back on this, and you and I are going to be like, hey, we were podcasting at the time. We took notes on it. We studied it. We watched it happen. We read about it. We talked about it on our show, on the radio, with people, all over social media and in our lives. We remember it vividly that the NBA did Giannis absolutely dirty, and it's going to be a 30 for 30 in 20 years where it's like the NBA forced Giannis out of the NBA and European stars followed.
Yeah.
It's really sad, but like, I don't want to, I'm not trying to get super, super dramatic, but like if we're writing, conspiracy theories, like, are we at the death of the NBA point right now?
They better be careful because baseball is making a lot of moves, a lot of changes to their rules that makes it a lot more
enjoyable to watch.
More appealing is the word I was looking for. It makes it more appealing for younger audiences to watch it. They want to tune in. The games are going quicker. They're allowing challenges. They're being more player friendly.
They're making the rules make sense.
And the NBA is quite literally going in the opposite direction, especially with the foul calls.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The way that this season is going, like I said, with the amount of compilations that I'm seeing of the stuff that people are doing to manipulate and, foul bait, which I think, started with, obviously it goes back, a while, but I think, in my opinion, James Harden is the originator of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because James Harden and Trae Young and, Jalen Brunson at times and Shea and Jokic at times, like All of
Indeed.
this head flick foul baiting shit, it's not fun to watch.
No.
And then, we've seen it this season. We've heard it this season that refs are telling Doc Rivers that they're not calling fouls for Giannis because he's playing through it. Like you said, it's going in the opposite direction that it should be. And like I said, I'm not trying to be super dramatic or conspiratorial, but this is really, really bad look for your game.
You know what? I'm going to take it a step further. And LeBron, one of my all-time favorite players of all time, you could say that he's the one that started it when he was, on the Heat, when he first got on the Heat. And, there was the screen from Tyson Chandler where Giannis acted like he got hit by a freaking semi. It's like, brother.
You didn't need to sell it that hard.
You calm down, okay? You can just fall to the ground. You don't have to do all this. Like, you're 6'8", 280 fucking pounds at this point, dude. Let's go to a question here from Brad. What more can the Bucks brass do for Giannis? So we're not saying that the Bucks haven't tried to do every single thing to put talent around Giannis. Now, obviously, some unfortunate things happened with Chris Middleton and his injuries, right? So once that happens, your mindset has to shift. And the only thing that you have of value to go get a guy like a Damian Lillard is a Drew Holiday. Is that the first stepping stone that made this process is what it is today? Yes, you could say that. Sure. But getting unlucky with injuries with Chris Middleton, where I think if he doesn't get hurt in 2022, that the Bucks are probably going back-to-back. They were freaking smoking hot in 2022, going crazy. Brook Lopez was still a valuable piece. Bobby Portis was still a valuable piece. Giannis was still looking like the finals MVP that he was, the reigning champion. But then you bring in a Damian Lillard. And again, if you are an NBA GM of 29 other teams and you have an opportunity to trade for Damian Lillard a couple of years ago, 100% of them are trading for Damian Lillard. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
They were doing it. So, then you get Damian Lillard. You get some unfortunate injuries happening with Giannis. You get a blood clot with Damian Lillard. And then you get an Achilles tear with Damian Lillard. And obviously now we're at this point, right? And you have to make an aggressive move. People can call it a desperation move. You can frame it whatever way you want, but it's an aggressive move.
Yep.
You dump Damian Lillard's contract. You bring in a Miles Turner because you're losing Brook Lopez. You're bringing back Kevin Porter Jr. You're trying to get younger. You're trying to catch back up to the NBA when you were holding on to the last legs of a championship window. The Bucks have absolutely done everything correct from a GM standpoint. This is not a sit-in talking in trash about John Horst and his team and what they have done. They've done everything that they could.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that you could say about them is maybe did they mess up the head coaching? I don't know about that. But Budenholzer maybe had run his course, and you don't want to be in a situation where the coach is there too long because the Packers did that. Remember when Mike McCarthy where they did that? And they got extremely lucky that Matt LaFleur worked out there the way that he did. Matt LaFleur has been a hell of a head coach since 2019. We're just going to say that. But hiring Adrian Griffin, obviously, started out great. Wasn't a great situation. Then you have a situation where you have a guy who's one of the best coaches of all time, quite literally made the top 75 team. I don't care what you say. Do I think that the NBA has passed up Doc Rivers in some areas? Yes, I do. I do think that. But
I also think he's got some good assistants on his staff.
I as well. I think that the respect that he has gained around the league has allowed him to assemble a very good coaching staff. And he still does understand basketball. He is a good coach. So I will say they have done everything that they could to the point with the chips that they have been dealt. But the way that they are reffing the Bucks and blackballing the Milwaukee Bucks at this point with free throws, with fouls, it's not even just free throws. And we talked a lot about that. It is the fouls that are adding up. Giannis is literally getting assaulted in a non-contact sport. Basketball is a non-contact sport. Now, there's little contact. You're not supposed to be full-on grabbing his arm like Mikal Bridges did.
We shouldn't.
Grabbing around his neck like Russell Westbrook did earlier this season. That shit's not supposed to fly. And neither of those situations were a flagrant.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Like, there should not be like 3 to 5 examples in the first 25% of a season of a guy getting pulled down by the neck, arm, and shoulders, and it's just common. Brad, I disagree. I still, I don't buy the quote no assets take. I don't buy it, because as bad as Kuzma was from the trade deadline through the end of last year, he's been pretty good this season. I'm not going to say that he's been great, but I mean, for the money that he's making, which is like $21 million this year, and the fact that he makes $1 million less next year, I don't think that's a bad trade piece. Honestly, like I said, I'm at a point where I'm about 75% that I don't want to trade him. But I mean, Bobby's got a fairly affordable contract. I don't want to trade Ryan Rollins or AJ Green, but like, if the Bucks decided that they were going to put all their eggs in Kevin Porter Jr.'s basket and, attach Ryan Rollins or AJ Green, and I don't want to do this, but I'm just saying, to acquire, a different player, I'm not even going to try to think of an example of a player because I don't think it's realistic, but that, and then the trade that they made with Kyle Kuzma to get Chris Middleton to the Wizards to get themselves under the second apron. They're also under the first apron. They're currently under the luxury tax. So this meeting that's potentially happening with the Bucks front office and Giannis and his agent, I don't think it's there for Giannis to request a trade. I think it's there for John Horst to be like, okay, who are the guys that we have that you would like to go get? We're talking to Memphis about Ja. We're talking to the Kings about DeRozan. And we're talking to the Pelicans about Herb Jones. Out of those three guys, who would you most want to play with you? And then we're looking at trading maybe Bobby Portis. We have a 2031 first-round pick. We have Ajax, and we have Cole Anthony, who we could trade because now we have 2 point guards. Like, who are you okay, with us potentially trading, and which of these guys would you potentially like to have alongside of you? I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility that they're doing that to get Giannis's opinion on who he wants to play with him. To your point of the being aggressive by waiving and stretching Damian Lillard, that part of it, I think that basically said the Bucks have a 5-year window, which would be from Giannis being 30 until 35, of saying, okay, this is our chance of what we have left of Giannis before he's, either getting past his prime, having to completely change his play style, or leaving to go play in Europe. And I don't buy this there's no assets thing. I just don't think it's factual. And I mean, when it comes to money stuff, like, the Bucks can take on contracts from other teams. Yeah. They're not in the money hell that they've been in for the last 4 years. They're not completely stretched where they can only bring in minimum guys. So like, the Bucks could take a Zach LaVine and send more money, or have more money coming in than going out. They don't have to have all the money equaling everywhere now. Right.
So I want to talk about something that you made a point when we were talking on the phone. I was on my way home from work today. You made a point about how Kevin Porter Jr. and Giannis have barely played together. That's a great point to bring up, because if you just look at it, you're looking at this team on paper. Who's the second best offensive player on paper for the Milwaukee Bucks? It's Kevin Porter Jr. Kyle Kuzma can add some things. Who are you gonna say?
I was gonna say AJ Green, but he's a 1.5 trick pony.
Okay, I don't hate that, but I mean, if you add, I have so much love for playmaking. Guys that can set other guys up. That's really.
I get where you're coming from, but I just want to make sure that AJ Green is getting.
So either way, he's second or third, right? So you don't have your second or third best offensive player overall. And we've had the growth of Ryan Rollins, who Giannis has said that he's never seen anything like this in since he's been in the league. You have, I mean, the guy who really is going to be a trade asset is Bobby Portis. How do you flip him? Where do you flip him? And what do you flip him for? The answer, obviously, is a defensive wing, because that's where they're hurting. And I brought this up to you. I think other people will agree with it as well. With the news that came out about Chris Paul and them basically telling Chris Paul, the Clippers telling Chris Paul, hey, you just go home, old man. We'll figure something out with you. They literally did that with PJ Tucker last year. Was it them that did it, right? I don't remember where he was, but it happened to PJ Tucker last year too.
I always feel the pressure to find the perfect gift for my relatives. In this case, whether you're sending an unforgettable gift or treating yourself to everyday perfection, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. For me, I'm not just into steaks. I like all types of meat. That's why I'll usually get the Winter's Best Seller Pack. It comes with juicy fillets, chicken breast, pork chops, and even burgers. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. A family-owned company with over 100 years of experience in the meat industry. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and earn an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code YUM at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code YUM at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide plus an extra 20% off select favorites and more limited-time deals during their cyber sale. And use promo code YUM at checkout for an extra $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details. A big thanks to our advertiser, Omaha Steaks.
Where they're in New York, actually.
Oh yeah, it was New York.
Or Philly. Might have been Philly.
Yeah, they were just like, we're gonna move you, and Bucks fans wanted him back too. But I say you bring back Brook Lopez. You tell the Clippers, hey, you guys are in hell. We are not taking on all of that contract because otherwise we would have just signed the guy. You guys eat some of this contract. You bring back Brook Lopez and you put him in Bobby Portis' spot and you flip Portis for a wing defender. Giannis is happy because he likes Brook, right? Brook will help with the rebounding. That's one of the major problems with the Bucks right now. He still can stretch the floor, and he's going to come off the bench. So I think if you do that and say you go get a Herb Jones, say you get a Herb Jones and you bring in Brook Lopez, how much better is this team? A lot better. You're getting length, you're getting rebounding, you're getting defense, you're getting a lot of stuff. You still space the floor with Brook Lopez. So I think a lot of that makes sense, but who am I to say I'm not Shams who could backtrack 15 times? Every time I think of Shams talking about Giannis, the one thing that pops in my head is that gif with the grandpa from The Simpsons where he walks in the door, grabs his hat, walks back out. He's just walking in a circle. That's all I envision in my head when I envision Shams.
And I said this to you. I'm like, it's been 3 days. I sent you a video on Sunday night where Shams said in the offseason that the Knicks never felt that the Bucks were seriously considering dealing Giannis, and the Bucks felt the Knicks were never going to make a serious offer for him. And 3 days later, Shams is tweeting that, breaking news, the Bucks are meeting with Giannis and his agent. It's like, this isn't news. It shouldn't be news that the team's best player and his agent are meeting with the team.
Yeah.
It'd be news if Giannis was meeting with the Knicks front office, which is obviously not allowed, but that would be news. I said this to you. It makes me sad to think of simpler times where it's like, when did rumors replace actual news? That's what sports media has become, and unfortunately, it's more so in the NBA than it is in any other league.
You need to say what you read on that other page and give them credit for it, because that's
so
good.
I do, and I have the tweet pulled up right here so I can give the person that said it credit, and it's absolutely 100% facts.
Yep.
And this is from Cream City Crossover. I typically end up agreeing with a lot of the stuff that he says, and I've had some good conversations and back and forths with him, in a good way, not like arguing back and forth, but like bouncing stuff off of each other back and forth. I think he's really good. We should try to consider see if we would collaborate with us too.
I would love that.
He said, with all the Giannis stuff that's being talked about today, he said, this is also why the NBA loses out to the NFL. Trades and player movement dominates headlines more than their product. That's not a good thing. That's absolutely 100% true.
Yep.
And so much of this, and I hate this. I hate that this is the quote sources, is that it's Shams talking to a Lakers front office assistant saying that, the writing's on the wall because they've lost 8 of their last 9. That means nothing. I can't stand the phrase league sources. That means nothing to me. So the fact that it was 3 days from Shams saying that the Bucks and Knicks were never in a serious discussion about Giannis to, here we go, now it's serious because the Bucks lost to the Wizards on Monday. Yeah, it's a loss that sucks, but Jesus, there's like 60 games to go yet.
Yep.
Somebody said in the reply to that Cream City crossover tweet, said the Chiefs could miss the playoffs and not a peep of get Pat out of there, just focusing on what they need to do to make the playoffs and such.
Yep.
And Trage, the show that we're going to be on later, said it's how they try to stay relevant, throwing rumors around all year. Not to mention they do it all summer too. And I hate that this is the world that we live in, but it's about engagement. Doesn't matter if what you say comes true or not. As long as you get the engagement, that's all you need.
Yep.
And I hate that that's where we are.
Me too.
So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about this? I mean, we're probably going to see the Bucks playing with Giannis tonight. I mean, again, I don't think even if he asks to be traded, it's not happening today.
That's going to be my last thing I'm going to say is today, December 3rd, 2025, Giannis plays for the Bucks. Tomorrow, he's going to play for the Bucks. They don't have a game tomorrow, but on the 5th, he plays for the Bucks. Yep. Until further notice, Giannis is on the Bucks. And just a month ago, I saw that man block a shot, run down the other side of the court, grab a rebound, dunk it on a New York Knick on primetime television in front of Reggie Miller, the biggest Bucks hater of all time. Well, I should say one of the biggest Bucks haters. And give me one of these. And I told you before the show, if I see one of these tonight, the rumors are done. I will never believe them again. They're done.
I already don't, just because we've seen them for 6 years at this point. But
I feel like I have to give them the respect that they are. So I have to believe them just a slight, even if it's 1%. But if he gives me one of these, I'm telling you, it's over. They're cooked.
Yeah. Yeah, that to me means that Giannis is only going to play for 2 teams ever, and it's going to be Milwaukee and Greece.
Yep, because he does that in Greece as well.
True. Okay, so like you said, the Bucks play tonight. They play against Detroit. They play Friday against Philly, and then they play Saturday at Detroit. So, I mean, again, we'll see how the rest of December goes. Let's just see how the rest of December goes. Trade said national sports and ESPN hate Wisconsin sports teams in small markets. That's true, too. And the volatility of it is crazy because the Packers will go from getting respect to Jordan Love is average within a matter of 2 weeks.
Dude, the Packers are literally one of the biggest brands in the entire freaking world, like on the planet Earth, and they still get hated on because they're in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So we'll see what happens with it. I mean, like I said, just give it December and just see what happens. Like I said, I think the Bucks have 10 or 11 winnable games. Unfortunately, the Wizards were one of them. So now I'd like to see them win all 3 of these games this week, or at least 2 out of 3. If the Bucks win 2 out of 3 this week, I'm fine.
Dude, if they beat the Pistons twice this week, I'm going to laugh at Shams.
Yeah. If the Bucks beat the Pistons twice this week, I'm feeling great.
Feeling great.
Okay. Now, we can stick with basketball, and we'll bring in Mike, and we'll stay on basketball. Mm-hmm. Mike, welcome back. Switching to Badgers basketball. Well, the Badgers played right after the Packers did on Thanksgiving, so we got to see a Thanksgiving win. And then another Thanksgiving win. So, Mike, I'll let you go first, and we'll jump into Badger basketball against Providence.
Yeah, Thanksgiving was great. Not just the food. I had about 3 plates, and I could, I was sleeping half the day thanks to that. But, I was still able to watch the Packers and the Badgers between that time frame. So that was always great. So it was a good day for Wisconsinites. But, it starts and kind of ends at the end of the day in this game with Nick Boyd. The guy had a career day, 36 points, crazy in general right there. 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 0 turnovers. Mm-hmm. I think that's about as perfect as a game as you pretty much ask for. I mean, when you don't turn over the ball in that sequence too, as your starting point guard, I think that's incredible. 15 of 25 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3, so not too bad there as well. But he basically, long story short, he could get whatever he wanted, right? Whether that's getting to the bucket on a layup or a 3-ball or mid-range or whatnot. But it was very exciting to watch him play. Granted, I don't think Providence is not really a good defensive team. We saw them get throttled in their next game against Florida too. We're going to talk about that second game as well, which how different it was. But no, as far as this game goes, Nick Boyd, career day, was happy to see it. Hoping to see more games similar to this as we progress throughout this season. You just love a guy who gets downhill too at the end of the day, and I just think he's just a new. Said it before, but he's just kind of a new brand of point guard that the Badgers have not necessarily had in recent years since I've started watching them like religiously, right? So, absolutely fantastic day for Nick Boyd. Couldn't ask much more. So, 0 turnovers. Call that out real quick, and then Jack Janicki, call him out real quick. He got 20 minutes this game, 9 points, 3 of 3 from 3. So his best shooting day by far this season. We're definitely going to need him quite a bit this year. We're going to need him for situations like that, especially to get to pick the team up in an overcoming adversity situation too. And he's the guy that's going to do it for us. But no, 20 minutes, 9 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Big picture after this game, we were able to run and gun and, drop over 100. We did it 4 or 5 times last year, I believe. So, I'm hoping we can replicate that, this game a couple more times, this season as far as scoring, because, that's kind of what our identity is progressing towards, right? Obviously the 3 ball and, just scoring points and just out shooting everybody.
Yeah. And looking at John Blackwell, he took about 3/4 of the game to make a field goal, still finished with 11 points, added 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. He was 2 of 10 from the field. 1 of 6 from the 3-point line, which is not great, but he was 6 of 8 at the free throw line. So that's good. The Badgers were able to win by 21 points with John Blackwell having a quiet game. So always love when that happens. As far as Andrew Rohde, I'd like to see him contribute a little bit more on offense. I know I just gave that John Blackwell only had 11 points, but Andrew Rohde was 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 3 from the 3-point line, but he did contribute elsewhere with 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. So he's still there, still good there. No, Andrew, it's not a 2-on-2 tournament. We're playing in a 5-on-5 league for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry if if you don't understand basketball language. A 2-man game is just when 2 guys are just a 2-man game. So Tyler and I going back to high school. I set the screen. He shoots the 3-pointer. It goes in. We have a good time.
Banks it in, right? Banks in the 3.
I don't care how the hell it goes through the damn hoop, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's why I brought it up. Banks in the 3.
I'm sure there's tape of that somewhere too.
Oh, Pat Geigel has that for sure somewhere. I bet I could text him right now. I bet he's got film.
Pull off the tape.
I'd put that somewhere. Yes. Get it framed on my wall somewhere.
Yes.
All right. And then going to Braden Carrington, I really like his play style. He can shoot, he can pass, he can defend. He didn't score in this game. He was 0 for 1 from the field, but still had 4 assists despite just playing 16 minutes. I'm going to have a lot more to say when we get to TCU. But I do want to give credit. I know I put this in my notes last week and we got a little off topic and I wasn't able to bring it up, but Providence is a well-coached team. Mm-hmm. So I'll let Jake talk about the bigs and then I'm going to give a couple other notes that I had.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy me talking good about them right now, because when we get to the next game, I'm about to rip them to shreds even more than they already were. But Nolan Winter, 19 points, 10 rebounds. He was doing a nice job. He also drew some fouls and got 6 free throw attempts, which was second on the team. So good job by him staying aggressive, finding a way to get to the free throw line. Also another double-double for him. 7 for 9, so super efficient from the field overall. Only taking 1 3-pointer. So his game is kind of morphing into being more that low post presence that this team is desperately looking for while they search for their identity in some of these games. Bielowskis was held scoreless in 12 minutes, did have 4 rebounds, shot 3 shots, all of them from 3, made none of them. Going to Garlock, he only played 8 minutes in this one. He did score in this one. So, hell yeah, we got Garlock in the scoring column. He didn't grab any rebounds, had 1 assist in his 8 minutes. Trage, if we had more time, I would put on a goddamn clinic, I'll tell you right now. In terms of Austin Rapp, good game from him, 20 points, 8 rebounds, and an assist. He did shoot 11 3-pointers, making 5 of them, so that is very efficient. That is his game. Honestly, he's just a big, small forward. He's not a power forward. You can call it what it is. I'm going to cover him because technically he starts at power forward, but he legitimately is just a big, small forward because he does not have the physical low body strength to handle a lot of stuff that's thrown at him. And I'm going to leave it right there because I got some things to say about the next game. So I'm just going to get into it, right? God, I'm going to refrain from cussing a lot, but I have a lot of cuss words I want to say. Austin Rapp got punked for 40 straight minutes, bro. He looks small. And it wasn't just all on him, but it's something I said to Tyler. And there's one part that I left out that I wanted to talk about. Maybe we owe Steven Crowell an apology. Maybe he was more physical than we gave him credit for. Because Nolan Winter being your physical guy, again, had double-digit rebounds, only scored 3 points, but he only took 3 shots.
Right. Yeah.
But him scoring 3 points in 36 minutes and grabbing 10 rebounds, had 3 assists. He did foul out of this game with the 5 personal fouls. He needs help down there. And this team is looking for an identity as they play their first Big Ten game. I believe this one's at home, right? They play Northwestern at home
tonight at 8.
At 8 o'clock? Yeah. They're looking for an identity down low. TCU literally punched them in the mouth. And they just kept punching them in the mouth and kept punching them in the mouth and they kept punching them in the mouth. And the Badgers bigs did not fucking respond. At some point, when you're getting your goddamn ass whooped, it's good that you fight back. Don't just continue to get punched in the face. Dude, I was getting so pissed off watching this game. I was like, are you just going to continue letting them do the same goddamn thing?
And they were smaller.
Yes.
My
Their guys were smaller.
Oh, I was getting so pissed. Bielowskis, he did have 6 rebounds, so he showed a little bit of physicality. I should give him a little bit of credit for that, I guess. Garlock only played 3 minutes in this game, so apparently Bielowskis is the guy that's going to play over Garlock, which obviously we should have all seen. But, man, yep. Austin Rapp, dude, we are expecting way more out of you, buddy. We got the Big Ten season coming up. Michigan looks like a goddamn wagon right now. Michigan State looks unstoppable right now. Now, they got a game coming up against Duke, and Carlos Boozer's kid is the star on Duke, which makes me feel like I'm 100 years old, by the way. But Austin Raps better respond because the Big Ten is not going to give a shit. Did you not watch the Badgers lose a game to Penn State because their low-post defense was trash last year? It's going to happen again. The rebounding is a problem for both of my basketball teams, and that stems clearly from effort and physicality standpoint. That shit does not fly in my book. That's all I'm going to say right now.
Yeah, so Trade said he wasn't ready for Big Ten ball. Trade said I want to hear the problem will continue to be that they haven't showed they can outscore outside of the outside shot. They don't have the inside presence they had in a while. Crowell does deserve an apology. Raps minutes need to be monitored if this continues. Glad you said that, because if you look at the clutch minutes of this game, Braden Carrington was playing out of the clutch minutes. He was playing more like a stretch 4, which I think is interesting. You put Nolan Winter back at the center, and they were kind of using, like I said, like Braden Carrington as like a stretch 4. I don't know if we go another, couple weeks now that we're starting Big Ten play, that doesn't change the starting lineup.
I could see it. In terms of like being defense, if you want to be more defensive minded, I mean, I've talked to Brennan about this already since that BYU game. If you're going to see a performance like that again, I think number one, you consider going a little smaller and maybe potentially Carrington, or do you put a guy like Bielowskis out there who can at least establish more of a presence on the – I'm just saying defensive purposes. I mean, this is the second time our boy's gotten exposed. And like you said, Jake, I think you brought up a good point about he's more so of a big, small forward.
He is.
And in terms of physicality down low, when we play the Michigans, the Purdue's, especially Michigan State, physicality-wise, and we got exposed again in this game, and as we are, and we're a bigger team, right? So I think that's definitely something you have to look into if we're going to see this again. This is the second time this has happened. This is before Big Ten play. We also got Marquette on Saturday, who I know is struggling, but I mean, still, it's a big game for the state, big game for this program. I think if you continue to see this, you go Tyler's route, or he was kind of alluding to, or you do put in Bielowskis, I think, to get that defensive presence in there. And I know what our identity is supposed to be. But if we want to hunker down, and I just think if we want to hunker down a little bit and not get too exposed, at least from the start of the game, I think it's something they're going to consider for sure.
See, and that's the things that Doc has had to do with the Bucks starting lineup. He's had to consistently flip stuff because the defensive effort is not consistent in the starting lineup. And you cannot have that. The 2 games that the Badgers have lost, they have gotten out-physicaled.
Yep.
Yes.
Plain and simple. No, let's not go Marquette. Get out of here, Andrew.
Oh,
I won't say get out of here because I'm a fan of both.
Can we kick a guy out? No, I'm kidding.
No.
I would say no.
I
got your back, Andrew.
I know Tyler likes Marquette a lot too. So
and like I said, I grew up a fan of both. What I tend to do is I end up cheering for a little bit more whoever would benefit more from winning.
Yep.
So like it's the Badgers this year because they have like the higher long term, outlook.
Yeah.
So like Mike said, Marquette's struggling this year. So like another loss to the Badgers doesn't affect them at all, but a win for the Badgers helps them get closer back to being ranked. So like ideally, I'd like the Badgers to win this one because they would benefit a little bit more. Trade said, why should you run 2 bigs if you have no inside presence? I think that's kind of what Jake's getting at, and me too a little bit. That if the other things that I like with Braden Carrington, and this showed in the TCU loss, I got your back, Andrew. That his defensive switchability was showing in this game. I think Braden Carrington he could defend 1 through 4. I don't know that I want to say that he's able to defend 1 through 5 yet, just because I haven't really seen that yet. But he's definitely the hardest defender playing in this TCU game on Friday. And it could be because, they're on a back-to-back, which doesn't happen in college much. But Braden Carrington only playing 16 minutes on Thanksgiving could be a little bit of a factor there. Maybe he was a little bit fresher. It's just fair to throw that out there as a possibility. That said, he also made some pretty big momentum-breaking threes when TCU was starting to get going a little bit. And it's like, okay, maybe TCU will pull away. And then Braden Carrington makes a 3, and it's like, oh, shit, nope, Wisconsin's not done yet. Now, like I said, playing the clutch time, over wrap. He had 6 points, a rebound, a steal, and a block, and it's not, blowing the doors off of, everybody like, oh my God, we need to get this guy in the starting lineup because he's scoring 15 a game. But if you want to go the defensive route, what Austin Rapp is giving you, if you want to look at the offensive route where, we're looking what Andrew Rohde's giving you offensively, I think with Andrew Rohde in this game, he got picked on a little bit in some of the pick and rolls that TCU was running. And in the mid-range game, some of it is like guys making some tough shots from TCU, and there's some credit to be deserved there. Also, Andrew Rohde got called for a pretty soft technical, but you just can't take in the situation that it happened. I don't care that it was a soft technical because it was, but in the situation, you just have to be more situationally aware. John Blackwell was doing a good job of pushing the pace to combat TCU's defensive pressure. That was a good job by John Blackwell. He had 8 straight points at one point in the first half, 5 more straight to cap a 9-0 run to end the first half. 21 of his 30 points came in the first half, and he added 6 rebounds, 3 steals, but also had 3 turnovers. Trage said the problem is they've gone away from defense, thinking they're trying to rely on outscoring teams last year. How do they win more games when shots weren't falling, getting downhill, drawing fouls, and knocking down free throws? Absolutely. They are still a good free throw shooting team, so there is that for them. I will say in the first half, the Badgers made a lot of bad passing decisions, committed 7 turnovers, but were only down 4 at halftime. TCU did not score in the final 3.5 minutes of the first half. But what I would say my overarching take from this game is that their second half comeback was vigorous, but about 4 minutes too late. Mike, what did you take away from the guards on Friday?
Some of the points that you kind of just said, I'm definitely going to reiterate, especially with the turnovers, because my guy, he had 5 of them, right? So Nick Boyd, not his best game, but I mean, between him and John Blackwell, they got 45 out of the 63 points, right? So a lot of production, at least from that end, came from them. But no, 33 minutes, 15 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 2 steals. My guy had 5 turnovers, though. That's something that can absolutely not happen with your starting point guard, right? But no, this is definitely not the best game. This is definitely, I mean, you could argue damn near everyone struggled in this game in some capacity. I mean, we had, it was 17 turnovers total, right? 13 of them were in the first 28 minutes. So the first half, I think what Tyler said, I think there were 7 of them. Literally the start of the second half, just a complete, shit show. And we lost the lead. Came back, showed a little bit of a punch, but once again, I'm going to call this out of my big picture, but just like overcoming, getting punched in the face, right? That's, again, when BYU did that to us, we basically laid down. This game, we showed a little, but it didn't last long, right? So something to just monitor as we progress throughout the year here. But no, Jack Janicki played 13 minutes, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers. So my guards accounted for 7 of those 17 turnovers, right, in this game. That's something that just cannot fly, especially when they're accounting for, 46 of those minutes combined. That's just way too much. It's something that's got to be corrected. But more call-outs too. I mean, we're supposed to be known for our shooting on this team. We shot 7 of 28 from the 3-point line, from 25%. That's no bueno, especially if we want to be the team that we want to be, kind of how we were last year. And I know going into this year, we're going to be known for shooting, 33s a game. This is something that can't happen. It really can't. It happened against BYU. It happened in this game. I'm going to credit TCU a little bit. They actually might be for real. They took out a Florida team, and Florida, who last night only lost it at Duke by 1 point. So I'm going to monitor how TCU does throughout the year because they actually might be a pretty good team. But when he still shoots 7 of 28 from 3, 17 turnovers, that's not winning success, especially with what we want to become as a team here. So, but big picture going into tonight, how do our bigs respond? The physicality is what I'm going to be looking for. And again, just overcoming that adversity, again, getting punched in the mouth. If we fall down a little bit, whether it's in the first half or if we're down 10 again to start the second, how are we to combat that? We're at home tonight. I expect us to get a win. We got to defend Nick Martinelli. He's our leading scorer. He's given us problems in the past. He averages over 20 a game. I think he's about 6'10", so it's going to be interesting to see who matches up with him. I would not be shocked if Nolan Winter actually gets paired with him, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens on that. But no, I'm just looking to see how we respond because this was a rough ending to a 12-day road trip essentially for this team. Yeah. So back at the Kohl Center tonight, I'm hoping the students are going to be there, be loud. Big Ten opener. It's a game we got to have because if we don't get this game, I know Marquette. Like I said, I know Marquette's struggling, but I'm not going to feel the greatest Saturday. We got to make things right tonight, and it's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's end. We finally get to finish Badgers football season. Get to put a cap on it. Just let it be done and be done with it. Ended with more of a fizzle than a bang, unfortunately. It would have been really nice to go out on a 3 of 4, getting the axe back and beating 2 top 25 teams. That would have been, I think, a pretty nice end of the season. And we'll talk about some of the extra stuff after that. But, Jake, what did you take away from the offensive line against Minnesota?
I thought the offensive line regressed a little bit from a team that I was giving credit to. They were blocking things up nicely. Now, were they horrible? I wouldn't say they were horrible. The play calling, I thought, was a regression as well. I know you're going to cover quarterbacks, but what the hell is that decision at quarterback, in my opinion? Those reps mean nothing to Hunter Simmons. It is what it is. But the offensive line didn't open up many holes. Now, obviously, Minnesota was stacking the box and being like, yeah, we're playing in the snow and you already can't throw, so we're just going to tackle your running backs behind the line of scrimmage and make Darian Dupree work really, really hard. And that's just the name of the game for the offensive line that happened on Saturday. It was bad.
Yeah. As far as the passing game goes, Carter Smith did miss Treshka Kahuna deep twice in one series, once by not throwing him the ball when he was open and once by throwing him when he was open, but throwing it about 10 yards over his head. They brought in Hunter Simmons for the 2-minute drill. I think he is a little bit the better thrower of the football. He hit Vinny Anthony on 3rd and 6 for a huge gain that gave them 68 yards down to the 5-yard line. Carter Smith came back in, 3 plays, 0 yards, and then on 4th and goal had an insane throw and catch that was called incomplete, overturned into a touchdown on a great catch and throw to Jackson Aker.
Yeah.
Hunter Simmons then comes out and starts the second half. Absolutely telegraphs a pass that gets tipped and picked on the second set of downs. The second drive, he did save multiple bad snaps, contacted with Lance Mason until an absolutely brain-dead second interception. And he was also missing some open deep guys. So I don't really understand after Carter Smith throws that touchdown, you bring Hunter Simmons out to start the second half. He throws a really bad interception. Why you didn't go back to Carter Smith for the rest of the game?
That's my point exactly.
Giving Hunter Simmons the opportunity to throw a second really bad interception was a bad call.
That ended the game, essentially, to be honest with you.
The second one for sure. The first one, after that, it's like, okay, the defense has been good, Yeah, but after the second one, it's like, I don't think we're coming back.
Yeah.
Mike, what'd you take away from the run game?
I mean, not too much. I mean, I guess overall, going after an Illinois game, kind of obviously you're not gonna. But this team, you weren't gonna necessarily expect back-to-back performances, right? I thought, given the circumstances, Darian Dupree did run hard, 12 carries, 51 yards. He did have one 20-yard run, which was pretty sick. I know only 4.3 yards per carry. Not much there overall. And then you got Jackson Aker, who, by the way, thank you, seniors. Jackson Aker being one of them. Definitely going to miss him with his versatility on this team. But he also had 4 carries for 20 yards. But no, overall, pretty much what Jake said. I thought there was a little regression in this game. Maybe it was because there wasn't necessarily any camaraderie we had at the quarterback spot this game. It was, once, Carter Smith goes out, Hunter Simmons comes in. And again, Tyler just said it in the start of the second half. Hunter Simmons comes back in. Like, oh shit! Like, what kind of a game plan do we want here, right? So, I think maybe there was kind of like the fact that who's actually playing the quarterback spot? Maybe that's why we kind of got thrown off in the second half. I don't know. We did regress a little bit. That's what I'm going to say. And it was a tough last game.
Yeah, and defensively, it's pretty similar. So, Jake, I guess, what did you take away from the defensive line?
I thought the defensive line was fantastic outside of one run that happened that gave Darius Taylor 49-yarder. Outside of that, he had 18 carries for 51 yards, which is something under 3 yards per carry, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly. So really outside of one big play, they didn't give up much, in my opinion. They did a nice job bottling up the freshman quarterback. Minnesota is so fraudulent, dude. They won every single game that they won at home.
Yeah.
They're 7-0 at home this year, 0-5 on the road. They're about to get smacked the hell around in some random-ass bowl game that's going to happen on December 23rd or something like that. So congratulations. You get to keep the axe. But just know Badgers are going to be spending some money this year. I understand the recruiting's not going the way that it's supposed to, but this isn't classic college football. This isn't your dad's college football.
Let's just put a pin in that because we can have that. We can have a little bit of that discussion
you're right.
After we finish this game.
The transfer portal is where money is made.
Shut the fuck. We'll get there, I promise. Linebackers. Christian Allegro got a sack to open up the second quarter. That was awesome to see. In the fourth quarter, in one series, this isn't even linebackers related. This is just more of the team related. I will give the credit where it's due, and this is more of a season-arching thing, but Christian Allegro was an honorable mention All Big Ten player. Mason Poso was an honorable mention All Big Ten player, even though he really only played like a lot in the second half of the season. But I have some grievances to air, and it's more officiating, which sucks because we spent 2/3 of our Bucks segment talking about officiating. But in the fourth quarter, this all happened on one series. A play gets blown dead. I heard 100 whistles, and 2 Minnesota defenders can still tackle Hunter Simmons, and there's just nothing. No flags, nothing. Even though there's 6 different officials blowing whistles and everybody on Wisconsin stopped, 2 guys can still tackle Hunter Simmons. After all that, nah, we're good. That's totally okay. Free hit on your quarterback, fuck it.
Sure.
And then more so annoying is Kahuna is up in the air, quite defenseless, gets taken out, laid out by a safety and is not considered defenseless, and there's no flag and not even a review.
That was bullshit. The refs wanted that game to be done.
Like, what the fuck?
Those were both in the fourth quarter too, right?
They were in the same series.
That was literally almost back-to-back plays. That was almost back-to-back plays, dude.
Like, what are we doing? I wish the coaching staff would have showed a little more fire. If you want my honest opinion, especially when
pissed about Hunter Simmons. It looked like
because that was right in front of him.
Yeah,
it was literally right in front of him. I don't know.
I don't understand how some of the dumb shit that we've seen the Badgers get called for targeting in the last 2 or 3 years, and a guy just up in the air getting knocked out by a safety. It's not even worth a review.
Yeah.
Not even to look at it. Not even saying that it needed to be called targeting. But it's a defenseless receiver. It's an unsportsmanlike conduct. I didn't even need the guy kicked out. But a 15-yard flag there was absolutely reasonable.
100%.
Just needed to get the season over with, I guess. So, Mike, what did you think about secondary?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned it last week with this quarterback. I mean, Drake Lindsey, 18 and 24, 90 yards. Got that one touchdown on the short field. That was only a 3.8 average. I think I said last week he was second lowest in the Big Ten in terms of yards per completion at 6 yards. So as far as I'm concerned, the secondary for the most part did their job. They kept everything in front of them. So I guess there's not. I mean, I thought they did a pretty decent job overall. I mean, Austin Brown, I guess I'll call him out since he's a senior too. It's his last game. He had 8 total tackles, one nice pass deflection as well. And then De'Ani Hill, once again, I think this guy low-key could have been a linebacker for us. He had another 5 total tackle day. So I just want to call those 2 guys out. But as a whole, I thought the secondary did its job for the most part. We just basically gave up that one big run, right? I mean, other than that, I mean, that other touchdown they got was on a short field after Hunter Simmons interception. So I'm not necessarily going to hold them, under fire for that. But I thought the defense, I mean, it wasn't the greatest game, I guess, statistically in comparison to the last 2 games, the last 2 ranked teams that we played, right? But I thought the secondary definitely held its own, especially with when they scouted Drake Lindsey. They kept everything in front of them, and unfortunately, we just couldn't get it done.
Yeah. So we can jump into what's next. Obviously, the biggest piece of news is going to be that Amari Latimer flipped from Wisconsin to West Virginia kind of late last minute. And there's people the Badgers said they're going to spend all this money. Why aren't they spending it on Amari Latimer? And to a point, and I think it was Zach Heilprin that tweeted it out that said if they're going to spend money, I get not throwing it all at a high school running back when there's much more that needs to be fixed on the team. I think it's much easier to have a good offensive line make an average running back look good than it is for an above-average running back make an average offensive line look good. And to all the people being they're going to spend money and now they don't have a big recruiting class. Luke Fickell today said that this is going to be one of their bigger transfer portal classes. I think when we're talking about the Badgers saying that they're going to spend more money, it's in the transfer portal, not in recruiting. The Badgers recruiting has been fine. I get that people want to keep more in-state guys and, they want 4 stars and 5 stars. I think the recruiting aspect of what Luke Fickell has done has been revolutionized when you look at what Paul Chryst was doing.
Yeah.
Luke Fickell is clearly way more active in it. But when they're talking about spending money, in my mind, it's in the transfer portal.
And recruiting doesn't matter unless you can keep the kids anyways. So You get in the world of transfer portal, this is literally a pro sport, except free agency is freaking insane every single offseason, almost twice a year. You got to go get your guys, and you got to go get the transfer portal guys. Go get guys that are already coached up and have some experience. That's a little bit easier to coach and have them transition and understand how the playbook works and understand how this big conference stuff works. Yes, I would love to keep every single Wisconsin recruit. That would be awesome. That's how we used to do it. Guess what? This isn't 1990. This isn't the year 2004. This isn't the year 2014. This is 2025, and this is how this shit rolls now. You got to go spend some money in the transfer portal, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, at least from my point of view, I mean, I'll start with the whole Amari Latimer thing. I mean, first off, if a kid – actually, I'll start with this. If a kid even signs on National Signing Day, they can hop in the portal in January if they wanted to too. Case in point, Xavier Lucas. That whole damn thing, right? I mean, yes, it would have been great to get this guy. And I can promise you guys, I can promise anybody who's listening, the Badgers, they offered Amari Latimer a solid package. They really did. This school, West Virginia, literally did not come into the picture until this past weekend. It was Wisconsin fighting off Ohio State, Miami, Tennessee, basically for the last how many months? Now, I do think there was a little bit of bad faith recruiting, negotiating between, Amari and the staff and his family. I will say that. If you do get offered a bag, like if it was significantly higher, I get that, right? I do think at the same time, you do have to call out it was maybe a little bad faith on their end. I think both sides are right. I get it. If you want to go get paid, do it. I just wish it was like on good faith. This guy, and I don't blame him because throughout the whole season, I thought Fickle was going to be fired. This kid was also taking multiple visits after he committed during the summer. Like there's no secret to that. He visited Ohio State multiple times. He went to Tennessee. He visited Georgia Tech. He visited Georgia. He was visiting all these schools even after he committed. So the fact how it came down to this, I didn't expect it to be in the last 24 hours, basically. But it doesn't surprise me that this was happening still behind the scenes overall based on how it was projecting. So, but this is the story of college football. I think we're going to see some of these freshmen that have signed on National Signing Day hop in the portal. We're going to see plenty of that come January.
I mean, I was just going to say, yesterday, the Old Dominion quarterback, Colton Joseph, I sent him a DM. I'm like, I'm shooting my shot. Spend money on a guy like that. Through his 19 starts, he has 4,251 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and rushed for 1,654 yards and 24 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
please.
I think making another point,
I mean, you're talking about a guy who averages 75 rushing yards and a touchdown to go with another 230-ish passing yards and a touchdown and a half a game.
Yeah. And I would also say too, kind of Luke Fickle touched base on it in his presser today, and even Pat Lambert talked about it after talking about his class. But he basically answered the question of ponying up money in a nice professional way. I forget which reporter asked about it, but giving more money to the freshmen or whatever. And he pointed out that we need to know where we want to allocate more of our resources towards. Do we want to put it do we want to give an extra $300,000-$400,000 to the freshman who hasn't proved anything to us yet? Or do we want to put that towards an Old Dominion transfer? So it's going to be make no mistake. I mean, if we're not going to be able to land Latimer, which we haven't, this is going to, I honestly think, we're going to see 20 plus, I will say 20 kids in the portal. It's going to be damn near. That's how many kids that we bring in ultimately. After all said and done, after all the transfers leave and all that too, I think we bring in 20 kids. And I'm not kidding by that.
Yeah.
I just hope the quality.
Said this is going to be their biggest transfer portal class.
And as it should be, number one, from a talent perspective, obviously we weren't there. And you got to find kids. And I know this is going to be hard with this 2-week window. They just have to find – I know we have to cough it up a little bit in terms of money, but we basically have to also find those kids that want to be at Wisconsin too at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that was also when I say bad faith recruiting, I go back to the whole Amari Latimer thing. I think he was looking for a pay. I think his family ultimately, at the end of the day, they may not have wanted to be at Wisconsin. They were looking for a payday. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm just hoping this could be a lesson going forward, just trying to find those kids that just want to represent the W as best as they can.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, going forward, we can identify those kids. It's going to be a whirlwind in January, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the staff can do, especially now
I
that
think the transfer portal aspect of it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because the Badgers are going to be super active. So it's going to be, hey, we got another one. Hey, we got another one. Hey, we got another guy. Hey, we got another guy.
The bat signal should and will be active.
Yeah. So looking forward to that part. Other than that, well, we'll still have the transfer portal news and stuff like that. I think we're probably, I haven't talked to Jake and Mike about it yet, but probably going to do some crossover with Scary Alvarez as well. in the near future to talk about some coaching staff decisions, as well as the transfer portal. So definitely stay tuned for that. Other than that, tonight, like I said, is our radio debut on the Wisconsin Sports with Trade show. It's 92.3 WOSQ, so you can search it. Just Google it, pull up the radio station's website, and you click listen live. We're supposed to be scheduled to be on around 6:30. So if you can, give that a check. Otherwise, we'll probably get some clips from Trade himself tomorrow, and we'll be able to share those. And excited to be making our radio debut. And Jake and I are going to be seeing each other in person soon. We're playing basketball together, and then we'll be back next week to talk about whatever's going on. So stick around. Don't get too crazy, but we'll see everybody back next Wednesday. And thanks for tuning in.
I'll be making a layup at 6:30 while we're on the radio.